So hello everyone, in the previous session of queue, we have seen what is queue, some of the basic operations which we generally perform in a queue, and we have seen three different implementation of queue. And these three implementations are, we have seen how we can implement queue using arrays, linked list and stack. Now in this session what we are going to do is we are going to solve some of the questions related to queue. Now let us start with our first question. So in the first question, you can see that this is the given question. In this question we need to find the first non-repeating letters in a given stream of characters. You can consider this stream of characters as a given string. So let us consider, for example, to understand this question, let us consider an example that this is my string, right? This is my given string as my sample input. Now to understand the meaning of first non-repeating, I will show you a dry run of this question, and after I show you the overall dry run of this question, you will understand the meaning or what is being asked in the question. You will understand it. Now in this question what we generally do is, first of all, I will create a current string which stores the character of the given string. So first of all, this is a given string, right? You can see that this is my sample input, and in the sample input we have been given by a string. So this is my string. So what I will do is I will iterate through each and every character of the given string, and I will add that character into my current string. So what I will do is, first of all, I will create a current string and I will iterate through each and every index of the given sample input string, and as I iterate, first of all I will add that character into my current string, and if that character is unique, then I will print that character as my output. So for this question there are two things: current string, or you can say current, which will store the current iterative character, and along with that this is my, let us consider that this is my output string, output screen. So what I will do is, first of all, I will iterate through each and every index of my sample input. That is, first of all I will iterate through my first string, that is first character A, and I will add that into my current. So my current will be A. So in this current, what is the unique character? There is only one character, and that is unique. There is no repetition. So what is the meaning of unique here is that it shouldn't repeat. So in the current string right now, from the on the first iteration, I have added the first character into my current string. Now what is the unique character here, which is A? So in the output screen I will print A. Now after that I will iterate to the second character and I will add that character into my current. So my current will become A. Now in this current string, what is the unique character? If there is no unique character, you can see that A has repeated 2 times. It means that there is no unique character in the current string. If there is no unique character in the current string, then print -1 in my output screen. Now after that add the third character as you iterate. So I will add A, B. Now in this, what is the unique or first non-repeating? That is B. Now after that I will add C. So A, B, C. And in this, what is the unique, or you can say first non-repeating, is B. Now you can see that here we have 2 unique characters, B and C, but in the output screen we have only printed B, because in the given question it is asking only first non-repeating. Here you can see that we have 2 unique, or you can say 2 non-repeating characters, but we are only printing B as my output because in the question it is asked first non-repeating character. Now after that I will add this C. So A, B, C. Now in this, what is unique? B is unique. So I will print B. Now after that I will add X. So A, B, C, X. Now in this string, what is the unique characters? What are the unique characters? You can see that B is unique and X is unique. But which is the first non-repeating character? That is B. So I will print B as my output. Now after that I will add finally the last character, which is B. So my final current string will be A, B, C, X, B. Now in this, what is the unique character? X, because it has not repeated more than one time. So the output screen, I will print in the output screen, I will print X. So this will become my output. So in the output screen, my answer will be A minus 1 and B 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4 and finally X. So this will be my answer. I hope you got the question. So for a given string, we need, as I iterate through each and every index of the string, I need to print the unique character in that particular, you can say current string. In that I have used a character called as current string. Now let us talk about, I hope you got the question, I hope you understand the basic premise or the asking of the question. Now let us talk about how we can do this question. So to do this question, I will follow two things, two like steps. The first step is, now we are talking about approach. So in the approach, the first step is, first of all, I will create an array. Let's say that the array name is frequency of size 26. So I will create an array of size 26 and I will store at each index, I will store the occurrence of each character, right? So let us say that this is A, B, C, something like that. At 0th index, first index, second, third, and up to I will store 26, that is 25, and this will store Z. Initially, in the frequency array, all the elements are assigned with 0. And as I iterate through each and every index of my string, I will increment the occurrence of that particular character. Let us say that initially all the elements are 0 in my frequency array. Now this is my given string, right? Input string A, B, C, C, X, B. Now as I iterate, let us say that I am at first index. So for that particular character, I will increment the frequency of occurrence. So I will create count is equals to frequency of A is initially 0. Now as I iterate, this is my first occurrence, right? So from 0 to, I will change that value to 1. And after that I will iterate again and I will change the value to 2. So this is how I will increment. As I iterate for that particular character, I will increase the occurrence of that character. This is my first step. Now the second step is, I will create a queue. Right, so this is a queue based question. Now I will create queue. So by using these two things, by creating these two things, I will solve my problem. Now let us talk about how I'm gonna solve that problem. So first of all, let me clear the screen here. Yeah, so I told you that I'm using two data structures. The first one is, I will create an array of, let us say that the name of the array is frequency of size 26, and this array will store the number of occurrence of each character from A to Z. And here we are assuming that we are only taking small characters. Now the second data structure we are using here is queue. Now let us talk about what will be the overall operations we will be taking, or what is the overall procedure of this question. Now first of all, I have created an array of size 26, right? 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 25, and this will represent each individual character, A, B, C, D and so on up to Z, right? Initially all the characters are assigned with 0, right? So initially all the characters is assigned with 0. Now I will create a queue, right? Okay, this is my queue. Let us consider that this is my queue. Now as I iterate through each and every character of the given string, I will add that character into my queue. Now I will add, let us consider this is my friend, so I will add A into my queue. So first of all, I will add A, and after adding A, I will increment the occurrence of that particular character. So initially for A, the count is 0, and after adding A into my queue, I will increment and I will put 1. At 0th index, at A character, I will put the occurrence 1. Now after putting the occurrence, let us consider that this is my output screen. Okay. Now I have added the element in the queue and I have incremented the occurrence of that character. Now what I will do now is, first of all, I will check for this particular character present in my front of my queue, if the occurrence of front of that particular character, let's say that character front is 1, then I will print that element, else I will iterate and add another element. Okay, so here the occurrence of A is 1, so I will print A in my output screen. After that I will iterate through the next element, and I will add this element into my queue. After adding, I will increment the occurrence of that particular character. So the occurrence of A is 1. Now I will increment the value by 1. So the occurrence will become 2. Now after that, I will check for this particular character present in my front. This is my front value, right? For this character, what is the occurrence of that character? So the occurrence of that character is 2. If it is greater than 2, that is if front of occurrence is greater than 1, then what I will do is I will remove that element from my queue. So first of all, I will remove that element from my queue. So my queue will become like this, something like this, right? Now after that, I will check again for my front value. If my current value is, if my element present in my queue is greater than, the occurrence of that element is greater than 1, then again I will remove. So again I will remove, my queue will become empty now. I will again remove this character also, right? Now my queue is empty. If my queue is empty, if queue is empty, then return -1 or print -1, right? So I will print -1 here. Now this is my queue. This is my present queue. Now after that, I will iterate through the third index. As I iterate, I will add that element into my queue. So my queue will become something like this. Now I increment the occurrence of B. So from 0 to the occurrence of B will become now 1, right? Now I will check what is the occurrence of the front element. So what is the occurrence of front element? 1. So I will print, you can see that B has occurred 1 time. So the frequency of that particular front element present right now in my queue is 1. So I will print that character. So I will print B here. After that, I will iterate and I will add C. After that, I will increment the value of C. Now again I will check what is the front value, what is the front element B, and what's its occurrence? 1. So I will print B here again. Now again I will iterate through C and I will add C here and I will increment the value of C in the frequency array. Now again, what is the front element present in my queue? The front element is B, and what is the occurrence of B? 1. So if the occurrence of B is 1, if the occurrence of that particular character is 1, then print that character. So I will print that character here again. Now after that, I will add X, right? I will add X here, and after adding, I will increment the value. Let us say that this is my X here. Now I will increment the value to 1. After that, again I will check what is the front element. Front element is again B, and what's its occurrence? 1. So I will print B again here. Now after that, I will come here and I will add B in my queue. After adding, the increment of the value of occurrence of B will become 2 now. From 1 to the occurrence of B will become 2. Now I will check what is the front element? B. Front element is B now. And what's its frequency? Frequency of B is 2. So I will remove this element. Now again, what is this will become a front element. C will become a front element. Now the front element is C and its frequency of C is again 2. So I will remove C also, and my front will become this. Now what is front? Again it is C, and frequency of C is, we already know, it is 2. So remove this and this will become a front, and the front element now is X. And what is the frequency of X? 1. So if it is 1, then I will print X here, right? That's all. Now my string, I have iterated all the elements in my string. So this will become my output, A -1 4 times B and X. So this is the approach of this question, and I hope you got the approach and the basic asking of my question. Now let us code this thing. So in this, first of all, in the program, I have imported import.java.util.star, my collection packages. Now after that, I have created my class, and in the main program, first of all, I will create my string str is equals to, let's say that I am taking my example AA B CC X B, right? Now first of all, let me create my function to calculate the occurrence of each character, or you can say a function which will print non-repeating characters. So public static void, let me give the function name is print non-repeat. non-repeat. In this I will pass my string as my parameter, string str. So my first step is, what is my step one? Step one is create a array frequency. So first of all I will create int frequency of size new int of 26 array I have created, and initially all the elements are 0, right? After that I will, the second step is create a queue which stores characters, because I'm like iterating through each and every character of the string. So I'm creating a queue which stores characters. So queue of character, let me give queue name as queue is equals to new linked list, right? After that I have to iterate. My step 3 is iterate. So what I'm gonna do is, first of all I will iterate for int I is equals to 0 and I should be less than str.length and I plus plus. In this, first of all I have to store the character, each character of the string. Now we already know that we have studied strings chapter. So in the strings chapter, how we used to store, we have to create char, ch is equals to str.char that particular ith value. Now after that I will add q.add character into my string. After adding, I will increase the frequency of that particular character. So ch minus a and increment that value from 0 to, I will increment the that corresponding index value by 1. Now I will check my condition here, while q is not empty and frequency of q dot peak minus a is greater than 1. In this I will remove that particular element. So in the while loop, what I did is, for a particular character, let's say that I am adding character which has repeated 2 times. So I am checking if my queue is not empty and the occurrence of that character is greater than 1, then remove that character from my queue, right? So I am removing that character from my queue. Now I am gonna check if my queue is empty. So if my queue is empty, that is I have removed all the elements from my queue. So if my queue is empty, then return, or you can say print system.out.print -1 and give some space in between. Yeah. Else if my queue is not empty, it means that the front element present in my queue is a character which has occurrence of 1. It means that it occurred 1 time. So I will print that character. So system.out.print q.peak, print that character, and that's all. Now here I will call my function print, and here I will pass my character. Now let me save this program and run. So you can see that we got the output as we written before, a -1 b and x. So this is a question of first non-repeating characters. I hope you got the approach, you got the overall like basic asking of the question and overall code. So in the code, what I did is, in the first step I have created the occurrence character, occurrence array. You can see I have created a frequency character which will store the occurrence of each character. In the step 2 I have created a character queue, and in the step 3 I am iterating through each and every character. As I iterate, I am adding that element into my queue and I am incrementing the occurrence of that character. Now after adding and incrementing, I am checking if the occurrence of that character is greater than 1, then remove that character from my queue. Else what I will do is, I will if the occurrence is 1, then print that character. This is what I am doing. So, and if I have removed all the elements from my queue, and if there are no elements, then return -1. So this is the basic code and like overall understanding of the question and solution of it. Now let us talk about another question. Now in the given question, we will be given by an array, and we need to interleave the elements into 2 halves, and the output like should look like this. right? And this is very similar if you see like some real example when girls used to, like, I don't know what we say, that their hair, they do some kind of thing, right? So when they make braids, they put hair on top of each other. So this is very similar to this question is very similar to that. So we will be given by a array. You can consider that this is my array and it will have elements. Now we need to add in our queue these elements in such a way that we will like interleave elements, right? So what is the meaning of interleave elements is that, let us consider that this is my sample input. The given array is my sample input and this should be my output. So in this question what we have to do is we have to add elements in a queue in such a way that the output should look like this, right? So what we are basically doing in this question is we are dividing the array into two halves, right? So let us consider this is my half 1 and this is my half 2. So the output should look like this. So the first element in the half 1 will come in the queue like this, and the second element will come here, and the second element in the half 1 will come here. Let me remove this. Yeah, so the first element, in the first half the second element will come here, and in the second half the second element will come here. Similarly like this and like this, like this, like this, right? So I hope you got the basic. So we will give an array and we need to arrange our elements in such a way that in our queue the output should look like this. Okay, now after understanding the question, let us talk about the overall approach of this question. So what I will do is, let us talk about approach. So what I will do is, first of all I will iterate through my each and every index of my given array. As I iterate, I will first of all calculate the mid value, and I will run loops, or you can say two loops, or I can run single loop using two iterative variables. So for I is equals to 0 and j is equals to mid plus 1, and I should be less than or equals to mid, and j should be less than n value, and I am gonna increment I plus plus, and at the same time I am gonna increment j plus plus. So this will be my iterative statement, and in that I will add, first of all I will add ith element, and after that I will add jth element. So this is how, very simple question. This is how I am gonna add the elements in my queue, and the second thing will be I will print my queue using a while loop, or I will just like a system.out.print, I will print my queue. So this is how I am gonna do this question. Now let us code this thing. So in the main program what I am gonna do is, first of all I will create an array. Let me give int arr is equals to let me give 1 2 3 4. I'm taking the sample input 6 7 8 9 and 10. 9 10. Okay, now first of all what I will do is I will calculate the mid value. So here int starting index is equals to 0 and int ending index is equals to, what is the overall index, arr dot length, right? This will be my ending. Now after that I will calculate the mid value. So int mid is equals to starting plus ending divided by 2. Here let me give arr dot length minus 1, because we are taking indexes, not the size. So I will run my loop for int I is equals to 0, j is equals to mid plus 1, and I should be less than or equals to mid, and j should be less than arr dot length, and I am gonna increment j plus plus and I plus plus. In this, before I am gonna create my iterative statement, first of all let me create my queue. So queue of integers, let me give q1 as my queue name. So is equals to new linked list. Here in the loop I am gonna add the elements in my queue. So q1 dot add the arr of I value. After it, q1 dot add ARR of j value. Here I should be less than or equals to mid. I have calculated mid. It is showing some kind of error. Int primitive here. Okay, now let me save. So it was showing some kind of error because I need to give AND statement in between the conditions. So if this both conditions are true, then I will go into my loop. Now let me save, and after adding the elements, I will print the I will print my queue. So system.out.print SYSO system.out.print. I will print my q1. Now let me save and run. So these are my elements. So if I run this program, then my output should be 1 6 2 7 3 8, and the output should be interleaved with one another. Now let me save and run. So you can see that we got the output as we expected. So this is how we're gonna perform. By just writing these 3 simple lines, we can perform the interleaving questions. Now let us talk about another simple question. Now in the given question, we have to print the, or you can say we have to reverse a given queue. Now let us consider that this is my given queue, 1 2 3 4, right? Now in this question it is asking that after performing certain operation or after running my given program, my queue should look like this, right? 4 3 2 1, right? My queue, after running my program, my queue should become like this. So how we gonna do that? The question is how we gonna do this question. So the overall approach, or you can say basic idea of this question is very simple. I already told you that what is the opposite of queue? Stack. So in this we are going to use stack. So how we going to use stack here is that, let us say that this is my queue 1 2 3 4, right? So what I will do is I will pop, or I will remove the front element in my queue, and I will add those elements in my stack, and after removing all the elements in my queue, I will add in my stack, and after doing that, again I will remove the elements from my stack, and I will again add those elements in my queue. So what I will do is, let me show you. So first of all, this is my stack. So I will remove 1 and I will add into my stack. After that I will remove 2, I will add into my stack. Remove 3, add here. Remove 4, add here. Right? Now the queue is empty now. So the queue will become empty. Now what I will do is, as I pop, this is my stack, right? So I will start popping the elements in my stack, and as I pop, I will add those elements into my queue. So I will add queue 4 3 2 1. So my output will become like this. So this is a very simple question, and I just wanna show you the nature of queue and stack. It is quite reverse in nature, right? Now let us code this thing. So first of all, let me create a queue of integers. Let me give q1 as my name. So q1 is equals to new linked list. After that, what I will do is, first of all, I will add elements into my queue, right? So I will add elements into my queue. This is my step one. So q1 dot add. Let me add 1. After q1 dot add 2, q1 here I need to give q1 not a1, yeah, q1. Okay, so q1 dot add 3. After q1 dot add 4, q1 dot add 5. Now the adding is completed. After that I will create a stack of integers. S is equals to new stack. I have created my stack. Now what I will do is, first of all, I will run a loop, and I will pop each and every element from my stack, from my queue, and I will those removed elements will get added in my stack. So while q1 is not empty, what I will do is, here let me remove this. Okay, s dot push q1 dot remove, right? So this is my queue and this is my front element. Let's say that this is my front element. So what I will do is, first of all, I will remove the front element, and after removing this element, removed element will get added in the stack, right? Now this is sorted. After it, I will after pushing all the elements into my stack, and I will run a loop again. So while now s1, while s1 is empty, while s1 is not empty, then what I will do is s dot pop and q1 dot add. So as I remove, let's say this is my stack and this is my top element. So as I remove the top element, I will add that element again into my queue. So q1 dot add this particular element into my queue, and after it, before reversing, let me print my queue such that you will like understand it. So before reversing, first of all I am printing my element, and after reversing I'm gonna printing the elements in my queue, right? Now let me save and run. So here let me wait a minute, let me print also. Before reversing, these are my elements. After reversing, these are my elements. Now let me save and run. So you can see that before reversing, this is my these are the elements present in my stack. Now after reversing, this is my resultant stack. So this is how the reversal of a particular queue works using stack. Now up to now we have studied some of the basic questions related to stacks, concepts, and implementation of a queue from scratch using 3 different methodologies. Now let us talk about an enhanced version of a queue. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to talk about an enhanced version of queue. So in queue, let us say that this is my queue, and these are the elements in my queue, 4, 5. Now we already know that for a particular queue, for a given queue, the entry will happen from one side and exit will happen one side, and we can't add from the front side of my queue. We can only delete an element from the front side, and we can only add elements from the back of my queue. Now in Java we have an enhanced version of queue which is known as Deque. Now what is Deque? Deque is nothing but double-ended queue, and in double-ended queue we are removing the restriction of adding. We can add as we want, we can delete elements as we want, and we can do whatever the things we want. And here what is the advantage with Deque is that we can add elements from the front, we can add elements from the rear, whereas in queue the entry will only happen from this side and exit will happen only from this side, whereas in Deque we can add elements from this side and we can remove elements from this side, and again we can remove elements from the last of my array, and again we can also add elements from the last side of my queue, right? So adding, deletion we can do in multiple ways, and this will give a slight little bit advantage based on the asking of the question, right? So this is a little bit enhanced version of queue. Now let us see how we can implement this Deque into my code. So for that, let me remove this code, and I'm gonna first of all import java.util.star. After that, public class Java programming. Now this is my public class. After that, I'm creating my function public class, public static function, public static void main string args. So in the main program, what I will do is I will create my Deque of integer. I'm creating a Deque of integer type. Let me give the name as d is equals to new array Deque. So you have to understand one thing, that Q and DQ are the interfaces. We can't directly create the objects of interfaces. We can only create the objects of classes. We have studied OOPS concept. In the OOPS concept we know that we can't directly create the objects of interfaces. So what I am doing is I am creating the object of array DQ, which is a class, which is an inbuilt class in my Java collection frameworks. And one thing you need to note here is that array DQ is will inherit all the properties of DQ interface. So we already know that a class can get the properties of interface, but an object directly can't get the properties of particular interface. Okay, so this is why we are implementing array DQ. Array DQ is a class in Java collection framework. We will see in the diagrammatic picture in the next slide, you will see. So this, by just writing this single line, we can implement DQ from Java collection framework. Now let us see how I can add. So I can add d dot, let's say that I wanna add elements from first. So what I will do is I will do add first function. I will use add first function, and I will add some element. Let's say that I'm adding 1. Now if I wanna add from last, so I can add last, and I'm adding some element as 2, and again d dot add from last, let us say 3. Now I'm printing system.out.print d. So if I print this like overall DQ, then my output will be 1 2 3. Now let me save and run. So you can see that I got my DQ as 1 2 3. Now suppose if I wanna remove the element from the backside, so what I will do is I will just do d dot remove last, that's all. After it I'm gonna print system.out.print my d value. Now let me save this and run. So you can see that the initial values I have added is 1 2 3, and after it I have removed the last element from my DQ. So the output will be 1 2. Now let's say that I wanna add element from the front. So what I will do is I will just add here d dot add first, and I will print 200 something, some random value. After it system.out.print d here. Now let me save this thing and run again. So you can see that initially 1 2 3, after it I have removed the last element and added 200 at the front. So the final resultant value of my DQ, double-ended Q, is 200 1 2. Right? I hope you got the overall working and a little enhanced and advanced version of Q. Now, as I was saying that in Java collection framework, Qs and DQs are the interfaces. We can't directly implement the objects of interfaces. We can't directly create the objects of Qs, DQs directly. So here you can see that this is my collection. This is my collection. In collection we have different things, and you can see that we can directly create the object of stack by just writing stack of integer s is equals to new stack. We can directly create it because stack is a class. So we can create the objects of class, and this class is a part of an interface called as list. After that we have already studied about array list, we have studied about stack, linked list, and we have studied about queue, DQ. In the future chapter we will study about sets, and this is going to be a very interesting chapter as well. In that we will study about hash maps, hash sets, tree sets, many more. And along with that we will talk about priority queue, array DQ, many more in the upcoming sessions. But for now, this is the picture of Java collection framework, and all this collectively, all this list, set and queues, we call them as a collection. Okay, I hope you got the overall working and the idea of Java collection framework, working of queues, implementation of queues from the scratch, and we did some basic questions in the queue. So up to now we have studied about stacks, we have studied about queues, about 2 different data structures. Now in the next session we are going to talk about my favorite chapter, one of the best chapters in computer science, which is greedy algorithms. So with that being said, I will see you in the next session.